Today I'm sitting down with Derry City Director, editor of matchday programme Cityview, and my former co-host from the original Derry City Supporters podcast, CTID, back in 2016. Andrew Cassidy joins us here, and Andrew's going to tell us all about his new book, Cityview, 30 Years of Missing ADZ Interviews. And Andrew, can I ask you first of all, before we get to the what, let's talk about the when. When did you have the idea for the book?
Obviously, I do the ADZ interview in the programme. There's one of the weeks I just couldn't get a first-team player. And I went to Brandywell to hopefully catch some after training, and I just seen Liam Coyle leaving, whatever he was in for, and I thought, gee, it'd be good if I had got him, and they just missed him. And then it came then the idea of why don't I get a couple of club legends to do it, but then I didn't want to take away at the same time from the first team players that were there in the matchday programme every week. So I was just thinking about how could I get all these club legends to do this, but without putting anybody out and all that sort of thing. So the idea came a long time ago, really. Again, I just went from there then.
For those who may not know what the ADZ is, could you explain the format?
There's two sets of questions, basically. So some of them are a bit of crack, some of them are more serious about their career and stuff. But yeah, it's just mostly like A is for annoying, that sort of thing, and who's the most annoying player in the squad. And you get some really funny answers there. And then the serious ones then is like, how did you come about signing for Derry City? And who's the most skillful player, the best player you've ever played with or against, and all that sort of thing. And then just any general funny stories as well. So there's a good mix of questions in there that you get some really excellent answers out of people you just didn't expect.
What kind of insight do you get into a footballer with these kind of funny and serious questions?
Well, the main one with the club legends is that I can't ask the current players, and I didn't ask all the club legends, but about them, how they came about leaving Derry City. But all of them speak so highly of the club. There's some of the stories about how they even signed for Derry City that are unbelievable. I think if anybody has the book or reading it, Eamon Zayed goes on for about 3 pages. You could write a book on its own. I reckon Hollywood might get involved for Eamon Zayed signing for Derry City. It's an epic. But no, a few of the lads told really in-depth stories. We were on for most guys between an hour and half an hour to an hour roughly. Some guys went really in depth, and it was really great to chat to them and sort of fire back extra questions. Then once I'd asked the ADZ question, and you get a lot more out of them, and it's really insightful stuff that you just never knew before about these people.
The title is 30 Years of Missing ADZ Interviews. You've been editing the programme for 10 years. So how did you go about compiling the missing 20 years of players?
I had a squad list of all the players from 85 up until 2015, obviously, when I took over. And I made a list of people that I would really like to get, and knowing that I wouldn't get them all. I made a list of about 90 players. Some I had contacts for, some I didn't. But it was hard getting the contacts for these people, but I kind of found that once I started, the kind of daisy chain from there, that one player would have a contact for the next guy and whatever else. Some of the more harder ones to get took a bit of detective work, all right, but eventually got most of them that I really wanted to get. The likes of Owen Da Gama, I can't believe I got. I know journalists all around Derry have been trying to get him for a long time, and I just happened to stumble across him. Dennis Stewart, Manchester City really helped me out there, and I'm tracking down Dennis Stewart. The amount of people that helped me out along the way, getting involved with contacts for somebody that might know somebody on the off chance, or even clubs that are the players are currently with as coaches or managers. The likes of Thomas Stewart as a manager out in Sweden now, and his club was glad to get involved. Some of the more modern players as well, Stephen Dooley, are still playing, and their clubs allowed me to speak to them. But no, I'm really thankful for everybody that's getting the contacts to me.
I guess in the book is self-published, so how do you go across raising the money to get it printed?
There's a few player sponsors on there. There's a few ads and stuff on there. And massive thanks to all the people that took a sponsor or an ad or whatever. And that's raised a good bit of money. And now hopefully the sales now will kind of cover the printing costs. Probably won't make a massive amount of money out of it, but it was a labour of love, as they say, just to get it out and get it done. I'm just massively thankful that I got to speak to all these players, and I got the full version of the book, if you know what I mean. I got to hear the answers that weren't written down. And some of them hilarious too. They would tell you a hilarious story and then go, "But don't be printing that." But so there's some great stories in there too, you know. But no, that's how the money came about. So hopefully next Friday night when we launch it as the brand new, there'll be a good few sales on there as well.
What do you hope readers, especially football fans, what will they take from reading these questions and answers?
It's like reading 30 odd autobiographies, basically, you know, of players that you love. And it's not even just a Derry City thing, because some of these guys only played for Derry City for maybe 1 or 2 seasons or 1.5 seasons, and could have been at maybe Shamrock Rovers or St. Pat's or something for a long time. So even fans of other clubs will actually find benefit in it. Obviously, a lot of the Derry City players that are in it used to play for Finn Harps as well, so they all talk about their time at Finn Harps. There's kind of a lot of stuff that you would just never expect. I mean, when a player signs for Derry City, it gets announced on social media or whatever now, and that's it. But you don't hear where did they come across him, or how did they sign him, and was he big into Derry City or what? You know, and asking these players how did you come about signing for Derry City, and some of the stories are great. I mean, Killian Brennan was one of them. Killian was on for ages. He was on for about an hour, and he was giving loads of detail. It was brilliant. But he was telling me a story about they got to deadline day and they still kind of hadn't it over the line. And Decade Divine had to drive from Derry down to left him in Drogheda because he didn't drive at the time. He was around 19, and drive him back up to Derry again just to sign before the deadline. And he didn't know who Declan Devine was at the time, so he was just waiting to knock on the door so he could jump on a car and go and sign for Derry City. But he was buzzing about it at the time, you know. So, but no, there's great stories in there.
And I'm going to turn the tables on you and give you a taste of your own medicine. So we're going to take some of the letters at random from the questions, you know, and form questions about the book to give the viewers and listeners an insight of what they expect. So whenever you're ready, the first one is L is for letters. Were there any letters that were particularly challenging to create questions for? And was there a particular question where your subject struggled to answer?
The most difficult thing actually was in producing the book was coming up with the questions, because it's not the same questions on the programme, obviously, because it probably wouldn't make sense asking former players what current players would be asked. So, but then, like L, for example, there could be for league. Tell me about the season you won the league in '97 or something. But you can't ask that to someone who didn't play there. So we had to change his question. But yeah, a lot of the questions are very different. And then I would have to do a good bit of research on each player, thinking, because I was afraid of missing out something that was really obvious that people would want this player to be asked. Not necessarily that the players wanted to be asked themselves. Like S for Peter Hutton was Shelburne. So I'm sure he didn't want to answer that, but you know, it's something that I thought people reading this book would want to know that. And like K for Liam Coyle was for knee, and the story of his injury and how he came back into football, and it was really insightful stuff. And but coming up with, I mean, you can come up with a really good question, but can't necessarily tag a letter to it as well as the other side.
H is for hilarious. Which question asked in the A to Z is guaranteed to produce laughs?
It has to be Dermot O'Neill's funny story. I'll not go into details, but you can read it for yourself. In fact, Dermot told me several funny stories, and then he was one of the ones when you can't print that. And then I managed to persuade him to go back to one of the answers he gave me. I said, look, if I don't mention names or teams or years or anything, can I use that one? And he said, go on ahead. But his story was probably the funniest. But then the other funny ones, the likes of Tony O'Dowd, James Kelly, Tommy Dunn, they all travelled in the one car together from Dublin up for the matches. So their stories and their answers kind of all tied in with each other, because they would all tell us funny stories about each other, and then I would go back to the other player and go, well, Tommy Dunn said this, and you get the full story behind it, and it's just kind of all tied in together. It was really funny. Yeah.
J is for Joker. Who gave the funniest answers?
Tony O'Dowd was quite funny. But I'm not sure what sort of book he thought it was, but he was swearing and everything in the middle of so it has had to be edited. But no, Tony was quite funny. Who else? Owen Da Gama was quite funny. In places he was talking about going to the Point Inn and how much he remembers the stuff around Derry and things like that. So his was quite funny as well. No, there's quite a lot of funny ones in there. In fairness, I wouldn't want to leave anybody out.
I is for intriguing. Which player provided the most interesting answers?
Probably Eamon Zayed. He went into more detail than the rest. The rest gave really good answers and everything as well. Eamon Zayed kind of went into, I don't know if he forgot that was for a book, but he was telling me stuff that you'd think, Jesus, you wouldn't put that in the paper. Or you wouldn't know. That's not a thing that people would usually know. And who else? Darren Kelly as well went into a lot of detail. Darren was obviously involved in like the contracts thing and all that, and he went into detail about how that worked as a player on the player side of things. So fair play to him for going into that sort of detail as well. But yeah, a lot of them give me answers that I just didn't know about before, and fair play to them.
E is for exciting. Was there any player that gave you that feeling of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm chatting to this player?
It was Owen Da Gama. Owen was just completely out of the blue. He, I was actually looking for an email. It was the week that the book was to go to the printers, and I was just putting the final touches on it and proofreading and whatever else. And I was looking for an email from something completely different. I went into my spam folder, and you get all these emails from I'm an 18-year-old Brazilian footballer and I want to sign for your club and all, and then they always go into spam. But there was one there from a South African sports agency, and it's, you know, way under the subject, it gives you a wee bit of detail. And the name Owen Da Gama was on it, so I opened it, and this guy represents a coach called Owen Da Gama. And I was like, nah, I couldn't be. So I emailed him back and said, look, is this the same Owen? And he responded more or less straight away saying, yeah, I believe he played for your club over 30 years ago. And I just chanced my arm and said, you wouldn't happen to have a phone number for him? And he sent me one. So I sent him one on WhatsApp, and he got back to me straight away and said he would love to do it, and did it.
Z is for zero chance. Who was the hardest player to get in contact with?
The foreign ones. So you've like said, Clive Delaney was in Australia. Eamon Zayed and Russell Payne are in USA. Tommy Dunn lives in Finland. Thomas Stewart lives in Sweden. So time differences, like there was a few. The likes of Owen Da Gama had to do it 7:30 in the morning because we had time differences and he had to go to his work and whatever. The other guys then, there was the American ones were up over midnight just to try and just for the time difference to sort them guys out and get them ones done. So they were probably the most difficult to get, really.
Which brings me to T is for time. Considering the time differences, what was the earliest and the latest times you had to conduct your interviews with your subjects?
The South Africa is an hour ahead or an hour or 2 hours ahead or something. So Owen Da Gama actually works. He still coaches and things like that, but he actually owns a farm. His family own a farm as well, so he has a lot of stuff to be at early in the morning, and he couldn't do evenings. So I think he was 7:30 in the morning on that one. Actually, the phone cut out halfway through as well because his battery died, and I nearly panicked. But he rang me back, and so the latest one, was probably Eamon Zayed because he's in. I think he's in Chicago or Maryland or somewhere, and the time difference then, he was training as well. He's a manager over there as well, so I got him after training, but he was about 12:30 at night as well, and he went on for over an hour as well, which is great, but you know, sometimes you want to go to your bed.
And finally, P is for price. How much is the book and where can it be purchased, Andrew?
The book is online at the minute for $12.99, including postage and everything. It's on derrycityfc.net/Cityview. You'll probably see it on the homepage too if you go there by accident or anything. It'll be available in person next Friday night at the Brandywell, and the following Monday as well. There's 2 home games in a row, Friday and Monday. So I'll be at the club shop, hopefully, if anybody wants to come over and get one there. Some of the program sellers at the other gates might have some as well, hopefully.
I wish you all the best in the book.
No problem. Thanks very much, Dee.
Purchase it online or grab your copy at the next home game, as Andrew mentioned, against Bohemians on October 11th. It'll make a great Christmas gift to go with your season ticket and your new Derry City merch when that's announced. His name is Andrew Cassidy. My name is Dee Curran. And make sure you tune in the Drive 105's Match Night Live this coming Friday for the FAI Cup semi-final from Dailymount Park. Have a good day, folks.